Hello and welcome to a new episode of Digging Deep and Okie A11 podcast. I'm your host, Luis, along with my partner, William Bohannon. Today we have an international guest. Her name is Laura Knight, Head of Marketing and Business Operations for LSBUD, Line Search Before You Dig. This company is based, or this organization is based in England. Hi, Laura. Welcome. Thank you for being here with us today. We're really happy that we can connect overseas.
Yeah, hi. Nice to meet you too.
How are you? How's it been? How's your week so far? I know we start. You said it was pretty cold before we started
It's
the
very
podcast.
cold. Well, yeah, it is cold. We've had a very exceptionally long, cold, miserable January. Unfortunately, February has arrived and it appears to be exactly the same: cold, dark, miserable.
Yeah.
So,
Is it
yes,
just is it just winds that just or
windy, rainy, miserable, threatening snow. So yeah, we're
That's
definitely looking ahead to the spring.
very, very similar to here.
very
Usually
similar?
around
Yeah,
this
yeah.
time of year,
Oklahoma, January, and February is like
oh,
you're miserable. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
very difficult.
Laura, let's start and let's talk about Line Search Before You Dig and how this organization works. It's pretty much you guys do the same thing that we do. Um is that we're a communication hub. We get
Yep.
information from people that want to dig. They
Yep.
send the information to us. We send it to members, and then they
Yeah.
locate and mark the lines, and then people can start digging safely and preventing damages. Tell us how in England, does it work?
Yeah, so I think the motivations from both sides of the water are very much the same. We're there to promote safety, and we're there to connect the people who want the information and need the information with the people that have the information. So they've got the data about the location of the services. So I think over in the UK, we aren't mandated as users to do that. So there is nothing there to say you must go and do that and before you can dig. There are guidelines and suggestive actions that people who are actively going out and digging holes or working underneath overhead infrastructure should do everything they can do to do that safely, but there isn't an actual law that says you must go out there and do that. So I think that's quite probably a bit of a significant difference between the two. The other difference is that we don't, LSBUD, for example, we don't have all of the asset information there, but we can get that information out to those that need it because we have an advanced service that we can go out there and curate that for them. The other thing that we don't do as an organisation is we wouldn't necessarily provide a location service. It would be over to the user to go out and get that located before they go out and make their site safe, essentially. So that's how it would work. So we're an online service. We're a free to use service for those that want to dig the hole. So we were built on a firm belief that nobody should have any barrier to accessing that level of information because that could put their safety at risk. So we therefore should make that free. So you could register with LSBUD. You could carry out a search, and it will basically tell you what's in that area, who according to who signed up to our membership, and then if there's extras that we know that are probably within that vicinity, we can go away and top it up for them so that they've got that information to hand.
So, for example, I want to dig in England, right?
Yep.
So everything suggests best practices. It's not like you said. It's not a law that enforces. Hey, you have to call or in this case put a ticket.
Yep.
So I open my account in LSBUD, and then my information that I put in goes directly to the utility operator.
Yeah. Yes. So what happens is it's all there's quite a lot. It sounds very simple. You register your account, you draw a circle around where you want to dig a hole, and then you get a response back. But actually, there's so much that happens in between you clicking actually creating the search and then clicking submit. There's so much that happens behind the scenes. So we capture a level of information about the activity that you are going out to do, when you're going to do it, why you need the information. A lot of individuals over here will use LSBUD for things like planning in advance. So there might be a scheme that might be happening, and they want to understand sort of the best route area for a new piece of infrastructure, so they'd come and use our services for planning services. But then also you might get somebody using it for an emergency repair job that needs to happen on a damaged piece of infrastructure. So that basically, dependent on what the information that they put in the search, will depend on the type of response that they get. So we have a risk matrix to escalate. So if your search area would suggest that you're going to go and do a repair which is located around a high pressure fuel pipeline or a gas pipeline, then they will have different types of risk escalations that have been put in place with our tech team and the asset owners sort of tech teams to say, when this type of search comes in, we need to know about this now, because we'll probably get somebody out on site on our side to make sure that they don't hit our asset. So and that risk register profiling will happen at our design stage. So there's so much technical intricacies that go on there, but that's how it happens. So essentially, we've got this information here about someone that's actively wanting to work around that asset. We grab it and then we contact the asset owner, and it's kind of done sort of seamlessly. So every time that happens, the asset owner knows, and then the ones that they really need to know about are the ones that they'll get. Otherwise, we can triage it. It's essentially a triaging system.
So there is an agent in between that operation. I mean, is there a person that gets information online and then contacts the membership, or just go straight to the membership?
Yeah, so the way that we're built is we don't have an individual person going, oh, hi, Mr. Smith, and then going, oh, hi, Mr. Gas Pipe. So it doesn't work like that. So we're all nicely automated.
Okay.
Yeah, it all sounds like it's very similar to how our processes are here as well, especially when it comes to gas lines. Those are definitely an asset that requires a lot more planning and like perspective, someone to make sure that that is a safe area to excavate in. Are there any kind of area parameters? Like, is there a maximum area that you can have on that kind of scaling system?
Yeah, so we have like a 1 kilometer squared area that you're allowed to search, because we, with it being an online system, we don't encourage bots, if you like, to go along and try and map a whole area, because it just crashes everything, and that's not what it's there for.
Okay, we have had that issue here that
and you can understand, there are large infrastructure projects that are happening, they need the information. However, because of that, we're flexible and agile. We listen to that industry, we listen to that part of the market, and we have advanced services away from our business as usual search that we do. So we will do large site searches, we'll do linear searches, and we'll digitize and do our digital insights service, essentially, where we can create a full search, a full list of everything that are our members, aren't our members, and we can create it for a big site. We'll tile it all up and we can get it packaged off and sent over, because that just means that traffic is taken away from our daily front end, so that it doesn't clog it up, because essentially it clogs it up. And then if that happens, if we get that bottleneck, then that makes industry less safe. So that's why we don't encourage
and
it.
How much time given does the person needs to how much time do you need to give to have your area being located and marked? Is it like us, 48 hours, or just you just put it in the information, your account and all that, and then goes straight to the member and then or the utility operator, and then you just wait?
Well, yeah, so it's really it's a bit difficult, really, because we don't have depending on the type of activity and depending on the asset owner and the asset type will depend on whether or not they need to get out on site. So I think if you're talking about a high pressure fuel pipeline, the response that they will get is do not proceed until you've spoken to us. And then that's on the user to go and make that contact with the asset owner. So they can go, I've done my LSBUD search. This is the reference number. They'll send the reference. They'll say the reference number. The asset owner will go, yeah, I've got it. Actually, the search was because I'm planning to do some fencing in 6 weeks' time or whatever. And actually, then the search will be out of date because it only lasts for 28 days. So I think it just is that perfect way of getting communications to where they should be between the two different stakeholders within that search effectively.
How long does that, in this case, that reference number, the ticket in this case will last? I mean, if the person marks and then, hey, for our ticket, when you submit a ticket for the first time, just to normal excavation compliant, it lasts for 14 days, right?
Okay.
So you have 14 days to finish your project. If not, you have to renew. How does it work when you submit a reference number?
They can resubmit a search. They can just redo the search. So and then they can probably link. But they can resubmit the search if they needed to, because it'll be on their history, so they can just pick it up and resubmit. And it's generally speaking not the sort of the likes of high pressure fuel pipelines, the transmission networks. They're not in the business of moving. They're not in the business of diverting, or if they're going to put a new line in, it's a big infrastructure project that's taken years to plan. So I think it's really to capture any of those smaller asset diversions or newer sort of telecoms fibers that have gone in quickly within that time period, which is why we would suggest that refresh, so that it picks up any new asset data that could potentially be vulnerable if it's been ignored between the two searches.
So this is not like a established life of a ticket in this case. Like it just kind of depends on how, kind of like an estimated time that the person gives. Hey, I'm gonna be finishing about in 21 days, and then based on that,
they'll say when they plan to go out on site, and obviously that's for their word, that's their planning. But it could also be that we've got an emergency. It's an emergency type of response that they need to go out on site now because there is a water pipe burst. So it'll be another utility organisation that needs to go out to repair their asset. They'll have to do a search with Line Search Before You Dig because it's part of their process. And then what would happen is that will then depend, or that will basically inform the type of response that they would need from any other affected utility assets within that area. With it being emergency, obviously the reaction to that would need to be much more quickly than if it was, I'm planning to do this work in 2 weeks' time.
So the person that wants to dig needs to wait until everything's being marked in any answer that they may get, or they can. I mean, let's say it's a high pressure valve. Do they need to wait until they get a response from the?
So really, what happens is that the response that they'd get would be basically automatic. They'd put in their search and they'll go, this is in the area. But the response they'll get on the ticket is, do not proceed. You must contact this information. It will tell you what to do next. There'll be a letter. So some utilities, depending on the work type that they've put in, our system allows them to go, actually, this level of information is acceptable for you to proceed. So they'll give their standard operating procedures, how to work safely around their asset. That type of information would be given to them because they've sort of, within the risk assessment, gone, okay, they are, I don't know, cleaning out the gutters, or they're doing something where they're not doing anything too invasive, that they'd be happy for that work to proceed.
Yeah, that's very much like in our system, we have what's called a watch and protect.
Yeah.
Where if there is a pipeline that has all pipelines are pretty vulnerable and susceptible to those kinds of damages during excavation. So it's where that utility operator comes out or sends one of the representatives out to make sure that is protected.
So the excavator, has to check the positive response, their ticket. Hey, okay, I have a watch and protect because I'm working near a regulated pipeline, a gas line, correct? And the person has to schedule with a representative to meet at the work site to make sure that representative is watching the asset.
Right.
And making sure that, hey, you're respecting the tolerance zone, that you're protecting the line and all that kind of stuff. So it is a little more, at least in the state of Oklahoma, it's very high regulated. We have an agency, the actual government agency of the state that enforces the law of underground damage prevention act. The Oklahoma Underground Facilities Damage Prevention Act. Is that a long name?
Oh, very.
Yeah. So they're the ones who enforce the law, but it's all the job that is being near-regulated pipelines, right?
Right. Yeah.
And if you don't follow that protocol, if you don't follow the law, they're the ones who can put a fine or suspend your license or any kind of stuff that requires, maybe it could require more training. Hey, you hit a gas line.
Yeah.
Then now you have to take an 811 training, right? And get certified.
Okay. So does the user, who's how we would describe them over here, would they have to pay? Do they have to pay to use the system, to use the service?
Well, no. So, for example, because we have so many ways to.
The primary thing is, if you're talking about the notification system itself,
it's free.
It's free. It is a free
It's a free
statewide service.
We're a nonprofit member-funded organization.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so our services are free for the state. Now, if the OCC were to say, well, these individuals have met the parameters for them to go through this training, they may have to pay.
Yeah. For that group that they didn't follow the law working near regulated pipelines, and then they hit it or they didn't wait until the line got marked, then the OCC, which stands for the Oklahoma Corporation Commission, they're the ones, hey, now you have to take an 811 training, and then they have to pay for it.
Right.
Okay. How much is that? How much the training?
It depends. It varies. I think if one person is 250, for a big group, it's 111. 811, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So it can vary. You don't want to have, for example, the joke is that you never want to have the OCC after you because they're gonna keep everything straight. And they can investigate. They can take their time. Hey, what happened? Because obviously here in Oklahoma we're an oil state, so they want to make sure that's being protected for public safety and any kind of damage.
Yeah. If y'all don't mind, I'd like to derail us just a little.
No, go ahead.
Just a little bit. Laura, I just wanted to ask, what got you into underground damage prevention? What got you into your role?
Yeah, it's an interest. Lots of people ask me that. So I'm a chartered surveyor. I went a sort of traditional route, went to university, did my placement year, and I work for a company called Fisher German over in the Midlands. We are a national property firm, effectively, doing all sorts from infrastructure and utilities over to planning and property management agency, that valuations, all that fun stuff. And part of my role within the infrastructure services team was to work with some of our management clients. So we do manage sort of the land's interactions with some high pressure fuel pipelines, gas mains. And then I went and had a baby, came back and did something a bit different, and then just have always had an interest in line search before you dig. So the interesting relationship there is that line search before you dig is sort of jointly owned by Fisher German and another body, Pelican Corp, who are the software provider for our platform, and they merged in sort of 2013 and delivered LSBUD. So I've kind of it fell into it by mistake because I was just really interested in that simple message that actually, it's like people at home would use a screwdriver into a wall and probably not think that, I wonder if there's an electric cable behind here.
Exactly.
And they don't think. So then you just turn that wall, sort of flip it, and actually that could be into the ground. And
very much the same. Same explanation.
I just find it really mind blowing that people don't realise what's going on underneath their feet, and they don't think about it, and they should. So I think LSBUD for me is a total no-brainer because it's free, and it always has been. And we've had a really exciting year last year. We finally hit 4 million searches on the platform on the 18th of December. So
4 million?
That is awesome.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
so thank you. So
and that shows people submitting a lottery request in this case, right?
Absolutely. And actually what that corresponds back to for us, it's over 10 million interactions on our platform.
That is
So-
awesome.
And I have a question, Laura.
Yeah.
So LSBUD is just England, the whole country, or
So we,
also
we
goes
go up
beyond like the
Scot-
United Kingdom a
So
little
we're
bit?
in UK, Scotland, and we just don't go into Southern Ireland effectively.
Okay, so
So-
is Scotland, is it Wales also included in LSBUD?
Yeah, yes, yeah. We've got Wales and West Utility. Yeah, we got over into Wales. We just don't cover the south of Ireland, but we are over in Northern Ireland. We launched in Northern Ireland last year.
Oh wow.
So
Cool.
yeah, we were big proud moment for us to reach that milestone, because actually we've done that as an industry. Not LSBUD can't take all the credit for it, because actually that is an industry collaboration that has got us to that point. So I think, you know, it's just showing the activity out there is crazy, and that's not everything. That's not capturing every time that anybody digs, because
Yeah.
Right.
people are out there digging blind.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
oh yeah. We have that over here a lot. Do you guys have you guys separate excavators, like professional excavators, with homeowners, or just in one big group?
Yeah, so
I mean,
it's a good question. We basically, yes, we know who our biggest users are. So we obviously we have that level of information. We've got the big contractors, and actually utility owners themselves are some of our bigger users. And I think we're on the up with regards to our homeowners and their rural community, so the agricultural contractors. We had I'm not sure if you were aware, a few years ago we had quite a high profile incident that occurred on a medium pressure gas pipeline in the Midlands. We've done a
wow.
video of it. It's on our YouTube channel, on our website, and
Okay.
luckily the guy, you know, he walked away, but it could have been a very different ending. And it just showed that literally, had he taken 5 minutes before, while he had a cup of tea in the morning, he could have done a search, and there the line was that his rock spike went through, and boom, the pipe went
Boom.
up. So yeah, so I think you know, he reached out to us. He was like, I really wouldn't want that to happen to anybody else. It was petrifying, terrifying. I could have not gone home. So you know, and there was the pipe on the plan had he done the search. So all of that good stuff is exactly why I was motivated to step into the life in LSBUD, because I think it's a no-brainer, really.
So it's
Absolutely.
and correct me. So I think I was pronouncing it wrong. It's LSBUD, right?
Well, Alice, that is my colloquial tone. So it's
Oh,
bud,
okay.
as
I
in
was like, I wonder
it
if I was saying
depends.
it wrong. LSBUD.
LSBUD. No, yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
You want to ask regarding education in which?
Well, yeah, we'll circle back into that. I wanted to kind of touch on something, because this is something that we've touched on
Yeah,
a lot more recently, is that cultivation of safety culture. And it sounds like y'all are thriving in that, and like how you've pulled individuals together and organizations together really to support that, and how your growth has been. I'm kind of curious, is this for the individuals who are excavating, the homeowners, the professionals, is this because it's not, as you, from what I understand, what you've said, it's not a law.
Uh-huh.
Is that just everybody coming together as a safety culture?
Yeah.
Or is it motivated by any other means?
I think
That's a good question. Yeah, because
yeah,
it's
it's a
not.
really good
Yeah.
question.
You don't
Yeah, it's
have
a
that
good
pressure of
question.
the law that you have to do it.
Yeah.
So
But it's more
And
like a good behavior pattern that people have.
Absolutely.
Yes,
And I think basically you've got to go back to, essentially, inherently, people always want to do the right thing.
yeah,
And I think for us to look at the growth of our membership, to look at the growth of our users, we've got knocking on the door of 400,000 registered users across the UK now, and that grows day on day on day, carrying out sort of I think we hit 18,700 searches last week in one day. And I think it's that education that we have been working tirelessly on for since the inception of the business, to raise that awareness that, hey, did you know that you can do this search for free just to see what is there before you go and dig blind? Because I think That's all it takes.
Yeah.
It just takes you
Yeah,
5 minutes. You get your search back within seconds. And then, okay, some of them might take longer because they need to escalate. They need to actually look at what you're doing. We know people become impatient. We live in a society where we've got things instantly. We've got Amazon delivering
Mhm.
within a few hours of you ordering. And I think that has made us such an impatient sort of nation worldwide.
Mhm.
I think actually you should never be impatient when it comes to questioning whether or not you're going to go home at the end of the working day. So I think we have always been really, really tight on that messaging. We create an annual thought leadership piece where it's not a white paper, but it's a really informative document that we produce across industry. You'll find it on the website if anybody wanted to download it and have a look. And it's looking at trends of data that we've seen and collected across the year previously. We've done that now for 7 years. And we also hold a National Damage Prevention Day once a year. I think it's now in its 8th year. That will be this year.
Okay.
Welcome to come across to it. It's in June. We're at
Oh,
the
okay. Hey,
Ours is-
we'll go to Europe. I don't mind.
I would love that.
It's-
Ours is in
yeah.
April.
Ours is in April. Safety
There you
digging
go.
month.
Yeah.
Well, and we also run Safe Digging Week as well. So we do a social media takeover, and that is just, that is such an easy campaign to run. And we
Mhm.
get outreach from our member organisations that might utilise it for a week full of toolbox talks, for example. It can be even down to the well-being of their teams, because obviously if you've got a team that they're not functioning as they should be, that's when mistakes happen. That's when people get lazy. That's when people forget. And so, we'll have focus in those sorts of areas, and raising the profile of why it's so important to dig safely is just something that we just constantly do and do and do. And I think that's testament to the team that we've got this level of involvement and collaboration across our safe dig community, really. Of course, we can always be better, which is all why I still do what I do, because it's just vital that we keep spreading that message. So that's really, I suppose, how we've done it. We've just been there banging that drum to go and do that search.
Yeah.
I have a question in terms of education and outreach. How do you guys promote that safety message? For example, we are the liaisons. I'm the bilingual, and he's the normal liaison. My role was it's pretty much new. We started last year to educate Hispanic community, and what we do throughout the year, we do educational material throughout the year, webinars every month, just to any type of just about the whole process of A11 here at OK11. And we also do what we call safety days. Him and I, we go out there to towns that they have, I guess, towns that do a lot of job of digging in terms of like lines everywhere.
A lot of vocational schools
and we do a full day of training, 8 hours. It starts with that safety day. Starts with us in the beginning. We talk about the A11 process. Then the second hour is the OCC, the law, the agency that talks about, hey, we're just here to help you guys, blah, blah, blah. And then on the third session, it would be confined spaces and trenching excavation. So it's pretty much just to keep educating people throughout the year. So that's kind of what we do. We also have a big event, which is in April, is the Expo. We have an expo, it says Oklahoma Safety Expo.
Excavation safety.
And we just have all our partners, members, people that want to come and networking. And we also have sessions that we provide education and training. So that's kind of how it works every year here at Oki. Do you guys have similar things throughout the year?
Yeah, we do. We do less with communities because obviously we don't have that law enforcement that makes those communities have to go out and do it. So we have to sort of raise our profile slightly differently. And it comes from those people who are in the sector, who are using the service, who are wanting to be as safe as it possibly can be. So I've mentioned we have the Damage Prevention Day. That's generally an industry event. It wouldn't be something that we would go to a community and say, hey, we've got this event that's going on, because they'd be a bit like, well, I I don't even know why you're asking me to go to it. Like, what is it? So we wouldn't necessarily do that. However, we do go to sort of agricultural shows. We go to there's a big one every year in January that we go to. The farming community are the community that we always try and raise the profile of this simple search to. And I think I mentioned the guy that hit the pipe a couple of years ago. You know, he was an agricultural contractor doing something that most farmers do probably during the year on a quieter time, fencing, putting a fence up. Of course, there always would be putting a fence up. Actually, every time that fence post goes in, they're safe. The next one, they're safe. The next one, they're safe. But the next one for him wasn't. It went bang. So I think that sparked a lot of interest because people realised the complacency in something where the activity especially in farming, that they are familiar with their surroundings, they're familiar with their environments, they're familiar with the job that they're doing, but actually just that they've got somebody new onto site who wasn't familiar, they didn't notice, you know, the marker posts or whatever, they didn't do the search, they didn't know the gas pipe was there. So I think raising profile like that, there's a lot on social media. We do a lot on social media. We do run webinars across anybody can join them. So we'll do like a meet the member one. They always go down really well, so that we'd have a representative from a fuel pipeline asset owner or water or gas, whatever, whoever wants to jump in and do a webinar. They're not some people's favorite things to do, but it's really good because it shows, you know, why it's so important that they are a member on LSBUD and actually why they've got that sort of touch point with the user base. We also have a user group, which is a new forum that we introduced sort of over the last couple of years, where we identify some of our bigger users or users that have got a different sort of viewpoint on health and safety, because health and safety is a big thing over here, as I'm sure you're aware. So I think businesses are sort of realizing that, you know, it isn't just about the inconvenience of being struck, it's actually got a deeper thing here. We've got to have a bit more responsibility. So we have an e-learning module which is free, and we're due to launch the agricultural version of that, because that's a perfect way to just say to, for example, construction colleges, you know, did you know about this? Were you aware about? No, didn't know. So that you can go away and do that for free. Again, we chose to create those modules for free because we believe that safe digging should not be there should be no barrier to being safe when you're out on site. So yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any other things that we do, but off the top of my head, it's just socials, communicate.
Yes.
Got YouTube channel with lots of videos. Some are a bit funny, some are a bit tongue in cheek. You know, you have to try all different ways.
We do have an e-learning system as well as free. You go and do the training and get certified. It's pretty, you know, it's just about the whole process, pretty engaging, and then just interactive. You just go 10 modules. One by one, you finish, take a test, 25 questions, and then you pass, and then you get certified. Yeah.
It's really good for raising awareness. We did one year, which is probably something that I'd like to do a little bit more of. We ran with one of our members, Cadent Gas, a competition with the children of some of the engineers, where they did a poster about what mummy or daddy do for work. You ask my children, what does mummy do for work? And they're like, my little girl, I don't know, you do something with gas pipes, mummy. Well, yeah, I do, I suppose. But they did do posters, and it was really nice because they sent them in and we judged, and then we could send them a prize for what they did. And I think actually getting children thinking from a younger age about what's underneath their feet. I mean, you know, I think my children must think I am bonkers when we go to London, for example, and there's a hole in the ground. I'm like, oh, look in here, kids, and there's all these pipes underneath on the pavement, and actually they're the little mines you can see. And I think, you know, like you probably see that outreach should probably start sooner. At a younger age.
He's been wanting to go more into schools and start from, because at the end of the day, you know, also kids are very curious, right? They go and they pitch everything in the ground, and you never know. I mean, assets can be like right there, like
Yeah.
on the surface.
Right. And especially with like the latest telecoms, and,
Telecom,
like,
yeah, fiber.
fibers, things like that. And I mean, just to clarify for a second, because I don't think you know too much about my background, but for the last 8 years, pretty much, I've been working in classrooms before this point.
Okay.
So I'm brand new to Oki 811, but that's a little bit more about where I'm stemming from with that. So
Yeah.
I was gonna ask, so Europe, I know Europe is so everybody's like together in country-wise. Do you guys share assets with other countries besides just in the United Kingdom? Outside of the United Kingdom?
Probably there'll be some interconnectors going through the sea. So
The
we
sea,
do
but
have
there's not-
interconnectors, but we don't share necessarily. I
Okay.
think there might be something from Northern Ireland
From
to
North-
Scotland, but
okay.
there wouldn't be anything that we would necessarily share. So no.
In terms, and another, this is a silly question. So we use color flags to identify the undergrounds, right? Like gas is yellow, electricity is red. You guys have something similar like that?
Yeah. We have something similar.
Or it's the same
so
colors or different colors? Or?
Yeah, more or less the same. So oil would be you generally black, and you've got gas yellow, water would be blue.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Sewer is green, and communications is orange for us.
Yeah.
So those are the like the standard colors for locators to mark, so people know, okay, there's a gas line over there.
Yeah.
Yep. And then you've got a lovely painted, colourful path or sidewalk.
All over.
Yeah.
And when it comes to gas, I forgot to ask you. So we have here in the state of Oklahoma, it has to be 2 feet outside of the edge or wall of the pipeline. 24 inches.
Yeah.
So, 24 inches outside of that you can, which that would be considered a tolerance zone. Outside of that, you have to, you can only use heavy equipment once you expose the underground facility. But before that, you have to use self-digging methods. Do you guys have something that is suggested like that? Or?
Yeah, so basically most assets would have an easement strip, which is like a protected zone. It's not a physical thing.
A buffer zone,
generally speaking, it's not physical. So that would be, generally speaking, a legal sort of agreement, a legal document. So, transmission pipeline going across agricultural land, the landowner would have an easement which would be registered on their land ownership title to say X fuel company have got this pipeline running through, the easement is this, your activity is restricted. But then with regards to putting that asset onto LSBUD, that would be the member organisation decision, and they would have a buffer zone that they'd apply, so that if there was an activity, they might have a 150-meter buffer on it, for example, because then they'll know that if there's some, drilling going on over here, that it will trigger that there's some drilling going on nearby, so they might want to be aware of it. So slightly different types of restrictions.
It's not like established tolerance zone. It's just it's up to the member. Right.
Well, yes and no. So legally, there'd be an easement where you'd put when they built the pipeline, for example, the legal document to allow that pipeline to be in the ground would be between the asset owner and the landowner. So they would have a legal document to say, they've got an easement strip of 3 meters either side of the mid section of the pipeline, for example, where you can't build, you can't dig, you can't do certain activities, you can't graze pigs, because they can get quite ferocious with their digging around. You can't. So it might be a restrictive covenant to say that you can't do something. But then, with regards to that asset then being on LSBUD, the asset owner might say, we want to know about every search that happens within 200 meters of the pipeline. They might want to know all of that. So that's up to the asset owner. There'd be no specific buffer that's applied. So a lot of that depends on how their risk appetite. So it might be that we don't want to have lots of inquiries flooding into our system, so we'll have a smaller buffer. because it's a telecoms cable, for example. Whereas if you've got a high pressure fuel pipeline, your risk appetite is yes, you don't want you can't have the risk, so you need to therefore have a buffer which yes, it might mean more work for the asset owner, but it also means that they've got a lot bigger touch point of what's going on around their asset.
And that conversation is happening between the excavator and the member, right? Like, hey, you might have to expand more the excavation.
Yeah, so they again, it depends on the activity that they're putting in on the search. So it could be for information only. They might not want to have that level of information, but actually we want to know every time somebody is, I don't know, quarrying nearby. So
do you guys have another search, or in this case, like a damage report type of a ticket? Like if you guys, hey, somebody has a dying, hey, we need to contact the member.
Well, yes, there are. So basically the information that you'd have if you've hit something would be down to the individual asset that you would have hit. They'll have their own emergency procedures. You would always need to probably ring the fire service, would be a really good idea. We have that sort of information on our website. It'd always go out as safety regulations with regards to that asset type, guidelines and suggestions. They'd always have that there. The member organisations are pretty hot on that. But then with regards to capturing strike information, there is a group called the Utility Strike Avoidance Group in the UK, which has been around for some time now, where they would capture strike information. Now that relies heavily on people willingly putting that information in.
Being responsible.
Yes, and it's not a blame culture, because actually it's so much more important for industry, all of industry, to understand that strikes happen.
Yeah.
And actually, because that means that if we understand how often they're happening, we can understand maybe why that might be happening, and then they might give us some information into what we can do to help prevent that happening again. So I think, there's a big impetus on that right now at the moment. Gathering that strike information is vital for sort of the future of our industry.
Okay. Have any questions, Bob?
I think I just have one last question, and that is, what would you say is the most important part to excavation safety?
Awareness is probably the most important point for me.
I like that.
Awareness, which comes off the back of good communication. And I think that openness and that willingness to collaborate as industry is vital to how we move forwards with making sure that everybody can dig safely and there aren't any barriers.
I'm really amazed, Laura, how in the UK, like the message of preventing damage prevention and safe excavation is just it's more laid back. It's more like, it's almost like you have, like, there's confidence in the community that people will do the right thing.
Yeah.
Where here is like a little more, well, it's such a big country too. So, but in every state it's federal, so they have to try to like, do it a little different. But I'm really surprised of the, I guess you call it behavior, right, from the community to really being responsible to. It's not a law, but people still know that that's a thing that you need to do.
Yeah.
So I'm really impressed how, someone just, okay, I know I'm digging. I have to go to LSBUD and put in my information, get information from the member, and then get all the response that I need to get. But we're so structured, but sometimes you guys are a little more like, I would say more like easy in a way, because it's just like, you just go in, wait, and then you do your job. I mean,
I think again, we are smaller. And I think industry, because of that, we work so closely together, and we aren't perfect, by in any stretch of the imagination, but we are, as a collective, doing our best. We have got a safe digging community out there, and over the last 20 years, it's worked well together to get to where we've got to today. So I think anything else that anybody else can do will only be additive to what the whole of the industry has done for the last 20 years. So I think, looking 20 years further on, it's just going to be more and more busy out there with regards to the infrastructure that we've got overhead and below our feet. There's a lot less space available. So there's going to be different types of assets that are going to be going on, that are going to be going in and around us. And, we'll need to make sure that we adapt our safety messaging accordingly to enable that everybody can dig safely, work safely, and go home at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's what we pretty much our message is. At the end of the day, the underground can be fixed. We can't bring you back from death. So,
No.
I know it sounds cruel and it sounds mean, but it's like, hey, we want to make sure that you make it safe. The underground infrastructure is going to get repaired, fixed, and good to go again. But if you don't follow in our case, the law, then chances are that you can create a big incident. And we had a similar situation about a fence. Now that you talked about earlier, it happened in California in 2019. A guy was trying to put a fence, exploded the whole house. He survived, but then an employee from the gas company ended up passing away. So things like that happen. Just similar project, just a small project, like putting up a fence can cause just a fatality.
It's just stop and think.
Yeah, right. Laura, you have any questions for us? I know time is limited. I know it's almost 8 o'clock in?
No, we're only 5 to 4.
5
to 4. So we're okay. Not too late. No, I don't think I have. I think it's interesting to see how that messaging is the same. We've just got slightly different ways around doing it, and we can learn from one another. I think there's a lot that we can probably learn or take from this conversation. But I think the similarities are the comfort that everyone is just trying to make sure that as many people can work safely as possible.
Yes, that's the ultimate goal, that we can just protect people and protect properties and protect people's health as well.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Anything to ask before because this has
been
a special episode.
I just want to say thank you so much, Laura, for being here with us and sharing so many wonderful insights. I'm inspired by
I am
your safe
digging message. The culture.
I think is just incredible and very inspiring.
Something
I was gonna say thank you as well for I know I got into the website and I was trying to look for someone to talk to, and I sent it a couple of messages multiple times hey, I might get lucky, I might not. I know it's overseas, but I appreciate taking the time.
Honestly, anytime we've got we've got loads of information on the website for anyone to have a look at. Feel free to go and have a look.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, Laura, thank you so much. I hope you have a good rest of the week. We really appreciate being here with us. We're gonna try to see if we can get another country as well. See if we can talk.
We'll see.
We're trying to do an international podcast episodes with other similar to A11s. See how they do it differently.
Brilliant.
Appreciate it again, and for everybody who's tuning in. For this episode, dig smart, dig safe. Until next time.
Brilliant.
Well, Laura,
thank you.
Again, thank you so much. We'll keep in touch.